I believe in a relational philosophy. A relational philosophy is one that presumes that nothing exists independent from anything else, that everything exists in relationship to one another, that you can't talk about any single thing without implying or inferring everything else. I mean, think about it. If you want to describe who you are, you couldn't do that without describing everything else. If you are a son or a daughter, you can't be that without parents. If you are a student, you can't be that without a school. If you are an employee, you can't do that without your work. If you are a Canadian, you can't do that without the country or other countries. If you're a human being, you can't be that without the human species or the earth. You can't be a human being without the sun or the stars or the moon. You can't do that. You can't be who you are without atoms and subatomic particles and virtual particles that blink in and out of its existence. You can't be who you are, any of who you are, without everything else that exists. Even the furthest stars, the furthest planets, the furthest reaches of this universe contribute to who you are because you're not separate from the environment. You're one with it. You are in relationship with everything else. Now, the reason I use that perspective, that philosophy, the relational philosophy, is because it helps me to solve my problems. It helps me to contextualize my experience. It helps me to understand what's going on. Now, I'm going to apply this to improving the world. This philosophy for improving the world, this is the way I see it. We see, people want criminal justice reform, right? There are people in prison that we believe shouldn't be in prison. There's the failing education system. There's global warming. There's war. There's domestic violence. There's all the problems that we face in this world are actually related. This philosophy assumes that they're related, that you can't actually solve any one of these problems without actually solving them all. At least that's what I believe. So I started thinking, well, what is the solution to all problems? And if you start doing that, then you got to get rid of all the details, all the things that separate everything from everything else, the walls that are put up. You go, oh, this thing can be connected to that. They seem completely unrelated. Well, they're related because we're engaged in them. And the same process that created those errors, that created those flaws in the system, are creating other flaws in the system. Right? If you poison a river, that river is dirty, that river is poisoned. Well, you can't be surprised if the animals that go to that river also get sick, that the vegetation that grows around the river also gets sick. You can't separate the harm that's being done from the river to the harm that's being done to the ecosystem, to its environment. And so if you see an illness in your body, a cancer in your body, you can't be like, the cancer is only here. What's causing this cancer is everything that's going on in your body. It's your whole immune system. It's your genetics. It's everything that you're about. And if we see a cancer in our society, we see some corruption in our society, we can't say, oh, it's just because of the politicians. Oh, it's just because of the billionaires. Oh, it's just because of this or just because of that. It's because of everything. I believe that when we're looking for blame, that we should blame ourselves for everything. I blame myself for the things that I do, of course, but I also blame myself for the things that I don't directly do because I'm connected to it. I either engage with it by supporting institutions or supporting companies or corporations that don't serve the world. I contribute to it indirectly by allowing it to happen, by not taking action, by not being out there, by not getting involved. I blame myself for everything that's happening in the world, and I think you should too. If you get the blame, then you have the power. If you give yourself the responsibility, then you can do something about it. It's easy to blame other people for what's going on, but if you start blaming yourself, then you start looking at yourself in a different way. How am I connected to this? How am I involved? What can I do? And what can I do is a reminder that you are empowered. I don't know what the solution to all the problems are. But I do know it begins by not finding the details of a solution, but by finding the process of discovering solutions. The process. And I believe that the process starts with finding the root cause of the issue. And to my mind, the root cause is engagement. What we give our attention to becomes a greater part of our experience. And when you look around the world, can't you see that the things are the biggest, are the things that get the most of our attention? The things that you see around you, the products that are on the shelves in stores, the things that are happening online, the movements, the celebrities, the books that become famous, the TV shows on TV, we're all there because we gave it our attention. And whatever gets our attention becomes more. And so to me, the root of the problem is what we give our attention to. And I think for the longest time, we've been giving our attention to blaming others, feeling disempowered. I'm going to blame myself, and I want to take that power back. I want to remind myself and I remind all of us that we can do something about it. Despite all that's going on, we can do something about it. But it's not those small details that we have to find. It's a process that we have to get into. What are you giving your attention to? Happy for a Change seeks to encourage you to give your attention to great ideas. Because when we give our attention to great ideas, it makes it far more likely for those ideas to survive and to thrive. And it's great ideas that transform our world. It's great ideas that make it so you can feel better, so you can be empowered, so you can do more. Looking at the process is what I think is important. And part of that process is finding a reason to be excited, a reason to be engaged. Elon Musk, he didn't just create the Tesla. He wanted to create a $35,000 Tesla electric vehicle available for the everyman. But he didn't start by making the Tesla Model 3. He started by making the Roadster, right? A beautiful, gorgeous, sexy automobile. $200,000, 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, right? Something to captivate our attention, to get us excited, and then move us towards what could be possible. That's what I want to do. I want to follow in those footsteps, give you a reason to be excited about the world in a very selfish, pleasurable way, and encourage you to give your attention to ideas that can transform our world. What we give our attention to becomes a greater part of our experience. So why not give our attention to great ideas? And I'm going to make it my job to bring those ideas to you. And hopefully I can do that in an interesting, pleasurable way. I didn't say anything funny in this video. Nothing funny at all. I feel like anything I say now will just,